The mainstream media's response is to aggressively attack the internet.
Unlike in the past where we had fax networks and shortwave radio, we now have the internet.
The internet is full of nutty theories.
Conspiracy theories, the web of course is full of them.
That murky ground of conspiracy theories that's been proliferating on the internet.
It's been bubbling up kind of from the fringes for years and gradually making headway into the mainstream.
On the internet it started, right?
On the internet.
I think that this internet stuff with this access now that people have has made more crazy people, because people who are borderline crazy now go in there and become crazy.
You can get your crazy opinion heard.
They have wild ideas, and it's because they've been just talking to each other, and it doesn't have to be factual anymore. If you have everybody that's surrounding you believes the same thing, it becomes an alternative reality for you.
By using the internet to mobilize people that feel displaced, that feel like they've been on the outskirts of society, and give them a place where they can find a sense of belonging and maybe make a difference in their own way. And it's a problem, and we see that it's effective. We see that they are shaping the discussion online, on message boards, on Twitter, on social media. And the internet, you know, we thought that it would be this place where you know, it's wonderful in a lot of ways because a lot of different viewpoints and a lot of different people have a voice like never before. But unfortunately, it's provided a forum where disinformation, false theories, people that are just trying to make a name for themselves, bloggers or whatever, that have absolutely no accountability for the truth, are able to rile up a mass amount of people online. It provides this voice for fringe voices, extremists.
The platform that it provides for fringe and radical views.
Alternative media, and thanks to the internet, it fuels these things.
People begin to presume that these conspiracies are in fact true as they're, you know, introduced to this on a daily basis. You repeat it over and over and over again, and suddenly the conspiratorial theories begin to take on a life of its own.
It provides a place for these people, a place where these people can congregate and feed off of each other's biases. It's almost like a community that is almost like a cult, I would say, that is formed online, and they mobilize. They find a home. They find a place where they're heard, and they find a sense of belonging. They find an outlet where they can a platform to voice their deranged views.
The extreme fringe is given a platform for what otherwise would not be considered reputable television. You know, most broadcasts wouldn't have on the types of voices with these conspiratorial theories.
It tends to multiply online, and you see these dark corners of the internet where people pile on, and there's this very minute parsing of the technicalities of the supposed evidence, and more detail gets added and accumulated, and it kind of feeds on itself.
It really almost makes you ask the question, would it have been better if we'd never invented the internet?
When people who are like-minded get together, they tend to end up in a more extreme position that fits with the direction in which they were tending before they started talking to each other. In social media, you can quickly find a bunch of people who agree with you, and people are often kind of tentative about their belief just because they're not sure. And then when they hear other people who agree with them, they become more sure and much less tentative. The fact that you can find like-minded others in a heartbeat, that's a problem.
The establishment's solution to this terrible conspiracy theory problem was revealed by this man, Harvard Law professor Cass Sunstein. In 2008, shortly before being appointed by Obama to the cabinet-level position commonly referred to as the Information Czar, Sunstein published an essay out of Harvard Law School titled Conspiracy Theory. He prefaces the 30-page white paper with a warning that those who subscribe to conspiracy theories may create serious risks, including risks of violence, and the existence of such theories raises significant challenges for policy and law. He writes that his objective is to understand the mechanisms by which conspiracy theories rise, spread, and prosper, whether to ignore or rebut a conspiracy theory, and to understand how such theories might be undermined, and to offer recommendations for governmental actions. Sunstein begins with the claim that conspiracy theorists typically typically suffer from crippled epistemology, meaning they know very few things and what they know is wrong, and that they only hear the conspiratorial accounts. He doesn't provide any footnote or evidence that conspiracy theorists are more likely than others to get their news exclusively from one source, but he uses this false premise as his justification to rationalize his authoritarian proposals. Sunstein's admitted goal is for the government to eliminate conspiracy theories, but claims they will only do so if it improves social welfare. He considers several startling policy responses to dampen the supply of conspiracy theories, including having the government ban conspiracy theories, having the government tax conspiracy theories, have the government itself engage in counterspeech to discredit conspiracy theories, have the government formally hire credible private parties to engage in counterspeech, and have the government informally encourage credible private parties to help. You may be thinking, no way, the government would never actually ban or tax Americans' free speech. That violates the First Amendment. But this constitutional law professor does not rule out banning and taxing conspiracies. He states that each instrument has a distinctive set of potential effects, cost, benefits, and each will have a place under imaginable conditions. And if a conspiracy theory became so pervasive and dangerous that censorship would be thinkable. Wouldn't you just love to hear what circumstances Sunstein believes would justify repealing the First Amendment? Sunstein ultimately determines that his main policy recommendation is for the government to engage in what he calls cognitive infiltration. He defines cognitive infiltration as introducing diverse viewpoints and new factual assumptions into the hardcore extremist groups that propagate conspiracy theories. In other words, he wants government agents or their allies acting either virtually or in real space, and either openly or anonymously, to undermine the crippled epistemology of those who subscribe to conspiracy theories by planting doubts about their theories and thereby introducing beneficial cognitive diversity. Sunstein suggests that government agents and their allies enter chat rooms, online social networks, or even real space groups and attempt to undermine conspiracy theories by raising doubts about their factual premises, casual logic, or implications for political action, adding that government officials would participate anonymously or even with false identities because government cannot be seen to control the independent experts. Although government can supply these independent experts with information and perhaps prod them into action from behind the scenes, but too close a connection will prove self-defeating if it is exposed. When confronted about his Orwellian proposals by independent journalist Luke Rudkowski from We Are Change, Sunstein played dumb and claimed he didn't remember the article, implied that he didn't really write those things, yet he refused to retract his statements and said he's just focused on doing what his boss, the president, wants him to do.
Where you openly advocated government agents infiltrate activist groups of 9/11 Truth and also stifle dissent online. I was wondering, why do you think it's the government's job, or why do you think the government should go after family members who have questions about 9/11, responders who were lied to about the air, survivors whose testimony commits, and also government whistleblowers that were gagged because they released information that contradicts the official story? Why do you think the government should do that?
I think, as Ricky said, I've written hundreds of articles, and I remember some and not others. That one I don't remember very well. I hope I didn't say that. But whatever was said in that article, my role in government is to oversee federal rulemaking in a way that is wholly disconnected from the vast majority of my academic writing, including that. So
I know that I'm just asking because you may be the next Supreme Court Justice, or Obama will appoint you, and you did write those things, and that's why I want to bring them up to you.
So all I can say is there are a lot of things that I've written, I guess, and there are even more things I'm said to have written. And, I may agree with some of the things I've written, but I'm not exactly sure. I focus on what my boss wants me to do.
I just want to know, is it safe to say that you retract saying that conspiracy theories should be banned or taxed for having an opinion online? Is it safe to say that?
I don't remember the article very well, so I hope I didn't say either of those things.
But you did, and it's written. Do you retract them?
I'm focused on my job.
So you're not retracting that? Do you still believe that? Do you still believe that people shouldn't have freedom of speech?
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about this, by the way. I can go on the record.
He's the man who wrote about it. So Cass, do you still believe in the Joseph Goebbels approach?
Please don't. Please don't.
I'm asking a question.
I know, but you're
I'm asking a question.
Just, you know.
It's the job of a journalist to ask questions.
Sunstein then runs away from the question like a coward. Pretending he doesn't remember the article is a bold-faced lie and an insult to our intelligence. The paper was already receiving a great deal of criticism at the time, and he even released a book shortly after titled Conspiracy Theories and Other Dangerous Ideas, where he expanded on the paper. He should have just named his book Dangerous Ideas by Cass Sunstein, because nothing is more dangerous than promoting government censorship and covert propaganda. But when someone calls Sunstein dangerous, it's all a big joke to him.
The great quote, which is on the back of Cass's book, it's from Glenn Beck, and it says, "Cass Sunstein is the most evil man, the most dangerous man in America." Bravo. That's, you can't do better than that for an introduction.
Despite the Orwellian policies in Sunstein's paper and the government's long history of secretly manipulating the media, any accusation that media figures may be covert government agents is dismissed outright.
Changing the mind of conspiracy theorists is often very hard to do.
It's true, and here's why that's a lie, and you're part of a conspiracy. And so it ended up that when you gave them evidence to the contrary, they believed the original theory even more.
Conspiracy theorists believe that the agents of the conspiracy have unusual powers, so that apparently contrary evidence can be seen as a product of the conspiracy itself.
They assume that's all just, government plants or something.
It's hard to fix it because it has a self-sealing quality. Anything can be folded into the original conspiracy. Of course, the denial is part of the conspiracy.
It's very hard to break a conspiracy theory.
Joining me now is Harvard Law School professor and author of the new book, Conspiracy Theories and Other Dangerous Ideas, the man himself, Cass Sunstein. Cass, am I to believe it's you, or is it just a hologram that appears to be you?
Well, it's me, but of course I would say that.
Right, exactly. In your book, you write about just how hard it is to debunk conspiracy theories, because those who believe in them, and I will quote you, are unlikely to give respectful attention to the debunkers who in their eyes may after all be agents or dupes of those responsible for the conspiracy in the first place.
Sunstein criticizes conspiracy theorists for suspecting that people in the media are government agents, yet that is exactly what he is proposing. His hypocrisy is astounding.